Well, hello, everybody. And again, thank you all so much for tuning in for another episode, I would say, for yours truly being live, Miss Jazzy, along with.
December Rose, the Prosperity Doula. Good morning,
Yes.
good morning,
Good
good
morning,
morning.
everybody. Listen, we need your attention, please, because today's episode is going to be word on the street because this is something that has become near and dear to our heart that we're going to really be able to talk about today. We're going to shed the light on this information, and we need as many of you to rally with us, to pray with us, to bring awareness to what's being done and what is happening and what's touched what I would say our home front of knowing that we are soliciting the prayers of many of you that will continue to roll with us each and every week. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in for yours truly, Miss Jazzy, along with the Prosperity Doula Live. So, one thing about today's episode is going to be totally transparent. It's real life, it's real issues, and whether it's you or someone you know, you could very well be dealing with this. And so we want to give an opportunity for those of you that are chiming in to share this broadcast. Share this broadcast. Share this broadcast wherever you're watching from, whether you're watching with us on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. The idea for this moment is that as many ears, as many eyes that can bear witness to what we're going to share today, that we as a people can make a difference and rally behind this situation and just believe God for the supernatural, of miraculous of things to come. So I know December, this is something as friends, as mothers that we've been able to talk about. And, our heart goes out to anyone that's dealing with these type circumstances. And that is, we're going to be talking about cyberbullying as well as bullying. I mean, we both have school-age children right now, and it's something that, I've had this conversation over and over with my daughter, and I'm sure in talking with your children, I'm going to give you an opportunity to chime in before we bring around our featured guest of the hour.
Well, I have a 9 and a 10-year-old, and these years are very can be very either impactful, detrimental, positive, or whatever, but they shape these young years, form and shape the minds, the hearts, the souls of our children. And what they experience at school is very important. For the first thing, our kids spend a great portion of their life, not their day, their lives at school. If you think about it, we go to work, 8 to 9, 9 to 5, whatever you want to call it. Our children are in someone else's care normally for that whole time. So if you add that time up, much of their waking hours is spent at school. And so it's so important that we are having conversations with our children, that we are having those difficult conversations, that we're talking to our children. There are a lot of parents who aren't even talking to your kid. When's the last time you actually sat down and had a conversation with your child, where the phones are not on, where no one's distracted, where no one's watching TV or watching the iPad or watching the phone? When's the last time you actually had a conversation with your child, not just about their day or what's new, but about how they're feeling, how they're doing, what they're thinking? And one thing, and we'll get into this some more later, but one thing I'm learning as a parent, and parenting is a training, a lifelong training, right? We're always learning. We don't pop out of the womb ready to be a parent, and we don't pop out of the womb knowing everything to do. We're learning as our children are growing. We're also growing as parents, right? We're learning how to be parents. And one thing that was not acceptable when I was coming up, and probably a lot of the older generation, I'm not that old, but I'm old, a lot of the older generation coming up, is our parents, I don't ever remember my mother having more than maybe one conversation concerning bullying. And that was, my mom has 5 children. I am the brownest one, so I come from a very rural one-horse town where it's mostly predominantly white and Hispanic, because it's an agricultural town that I come from. And so I had to overcome the stigma that I had and what I thought about myself as being a brown skinned girl in my house, being the darkest of my mother's children, and then in the school being one of the darkest, because there's only 3 or 4 of us in the whole school. from grade school all the way up to high school. That's how small. I only had one high school in the town that I was born and raised in. And so we don't know. And now our children are up against even more things than we were up against. When I was coming up, there was no Google. And when you say that to our kids, they're like, what? There's no Google. Like, they don't know life without Google. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. There was no Snapchat. There was none of that. So our kids are truly up against more than we were up against. They're up against greater issues, greater influence, greater persuasion, greater peer pressure on so many levels. They're up against more than what we were up against. Okay. There was no such thing as someone videotaping you getting bullied or doing something to you when I was coming up. Now, I'm not that old, y'all. I'm just 41. But we got to understand that technology, the way technology is going, it don't take long for the next generation to be dealing with something that you never had to think about. And we really had to have these conversations with our children and check in with our children's mental health. And we're going to get into this a little bit more later about mental health and the stigma of mental health, especially in the Black community, where sometimes we're silent about mental health because it is seen as a weakness. And we're not afforded the safe space to have those weak moments, to have those mental health crises, to have a safe space to talk about how we're feeling. You know, I did not feel. Now, this is no slight against my mother. She's a single mother raising 5 kids. And when you're a single mother raising 5 kids and you're in poverty, you're in survivor mode. And when you're in survivor mode, you might not, I don't want to say you may not, and my mother did not, have the capacity to accommodate the feelings and the mental health of your children. You just may not be equipped to do it. My grandmother was not equipped to do it, and she did not equip my mother to do it. And it was just like, are you fed? Are you fed? Are you clothed? Do you have shelter? Then get out my face.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right, because that's one thing that I can honestly say that we didn't really talk about in my household either, but we're going to talk about it today. So for those of you that are tuned in, our featured guest of the hour, I want to go ahead and take an opportunity. Mr. James Dickerson, he's a CEO, he's a spiritual leader, certified life coach. He's in that top 1% network marketing leader, over 30 years traveling across the globe as a professional speaker, 25 years plus in the game of a builder of global brand of businesses. So Mr. Dickerson, we want to take an opportunity to welcome you at this time to the live, because even this has touched your household. And I really want to be able to give you an opportunity through our platform, the folks that roll with us each and every week, that they can hear from your heart of what you're dealing with, how we can support you, and how we can continue to pray for you.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Glad to be here with you.
Now, one thing, Mr. Dickerson, I read just a snippet of the bio of who you are, but one thing people may not realize of what you're dealing with currently concerning your daughter Spirit, who also was cyberbullied and was bullied during her time at school. And so I want to give you an opportunity to share your heart this morning. Of course, this is just an opportunity that we're bringing awareness to what's happened, what is happening, and what we can do really as a people to rally behind the cause of, I don't know what we can do to stop this, but it's definitely something we can begin to have the dialogue and the conversations about.
Yes, ma'am. So, where you want me to begin, Miss Jazzy?
Look, the floor is yours, sir. We're here for your voice this morning, that you can share with us what you would love for us to know about your current situation, what you're dealing with, how did we get here, and we'll just chat through it.
Yeah, well, I am very fortunate to be the father of several children. My next to youngest, her name is Spirit, and she's 14 years old. And her mother's name is Mary. I will say that when I speak about Spirit at this time, I have to also represent her mother, and because that's the womb that she came through, and right now she's experiencing excruciating pain. Our daughter is a very beautiful and bright um, performer in the academics as well as the arts. She she loves to sing, and um, but even though she's now 14, she just turned 14 in May. She is the type of girl that still likes to play with baby dolls and not trying to grow up too fast and do a lot of grown stuff. With teenagers, it's going to be either way. So she's still very much a girly girl and loves to spend time with her family. Uh, she experienced a lot of bullying as she got into middle school, and it became progressively worse.
Oh,
So
hopefully we
again, as
can.
we're waiting for Mr. Dickerson to come back,
I,
there
I,
he is.
yeah, I'm going to stay with you.
Okay.
What it is I should have done this on a computer like I told you I would, and I'm doing it on the phone, so my phone rings a lot in the morning. Uh, so I apologize for that. So
No
she
problem.
started experiencing a lot of bullying in school. Uh, um, it's That's not something that I had to deal a lot with because when I was a child, I was a fighter. So you bring it to me, I was ready for it, and her mom's that way too, actually. But one thing I never wanted to do as a parent was force my kids to be like I was. And my parents, I will say that was something that they did do. They made us fight people. And me and my brother, man, we couldn't even, if we came in the house, I mean, real young, they was doing this. We came in the house and somebody was messing with us. My mama said, get back out there and whoop them. Right. So she sent us back outside to do it. It's not something I did to my children, um, especially not to my girls. Spirit, she's not a fighter. She doesn't want to fight people. If somebody's bringing her drama, she just wanted to be over with. You know, she's dealt with a lot of that the last couple years. This past school year, 8th grade year, it got really bad on her. The boys and the girls were both messing with her. It's unfortunate that children, and I'm a black man, so I deal with issues related to black children, that our black children still tease each other for being dark skinned or um, having you know a certain type of hair or being really smart and stuff like that. So um, she has all of the above. Very beautiful, chocolate skin, and and she's tall like me, and just a lot of reasons for them to point her out. And she's really, intelligent, the kind of kid that'll answer all the questions in the classroom. I guess I'm slow walking my way to this because, uh, you know, I, am I turning this to her?
You're good.
All right, so she she had a real bad incident in the classroom, inside the classroom, where she got beat up inside the classroom, and unfortunately, I had to see this on video, because the children were recording it on their phones while she was getting kicked on, and while she was on the ground getting kicked on, and water was poured on her, and out of a bottle, and the teacher didn't do anything.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so she actually ended up even getting suspended for that. Spirit did. The principal of that school is horrible. Westview Middle School in the Riverview Garden School District here in St. Louis County. That principal is horrible. He lied to us over and over again about uh, what was going to happen in regards to the bullying in that school, the policies, the And even the services that were supposed to be afforded to Spirit in terms of counseling, they didn't deliver for her. She wasn't looking forward to going to school. We kept her out of school, so her they still had those computers from the pandemic era, and so they let her go home with the computer and attend class from home. And after a while, they were ready for her to come back. Not she was, but they were, and they forced her to come back to the school. And she never finished a full day of school after that. She would do stuff just to get in trouble so she can get out of there. And because she would call her mom and, "Mama, they talking about me. They won't leave me alone." And or she'd call me and ask me, "Daddy, come get me." And I was spending a lot of time traveling around building up my company. So I wasn't able. I'm the father that I would run over there. So I wasn't able to run to her because I was doing a lot of travel. School year ended pretty rough for her, to the point that Spirit did not attend her 8th grade commencement. And they had a commencement ceremony. She didn't want to go. She didn't attend because she absolutely did not want to go.
Wow.
And to her, there was nothing to celebrate in that school. And she was just glad to get out of there. I can't even. Only thing I could do was imagine what she was feeling inside, because I never felt those feelings. I probably wanted to get out of a marriage before, but not, like in the school. I never felt like that. She has all the stuff that a kid could want: swimming pool and trampolines and all these things, and she didn't want to play with none of her things all summer. She had a very low-key summer. She stayed in the house because she goes to a neighborhood school, so the kids in the neighborhood, I didn't think about this. I just thought all right, now she's in the video games. Okay. I didn't realize, looking in hindsight, I see what was going on. She was really depressed. And the reason why is because now that the physical bullying wasn't happening, cyberbullying was getting to her. They were spreading videos. And, when I was a kid, man, you could pick your nose in the classroom and not worry about somebody videoing it and putting music behind it and making it funny. And that's what they did to her. Ultimately, on August the 8th, Spirit walked in the kitchen and asked her mom,
Okay.
She asked her mom, "Do I have to go to the high school in the school district?" And her mom said, "Well, just for a few days, and we're going to move you into a different school district." And she didn't want to spend a day there. So she went out of the kitchen and went into her room, and while her mom was cooking lunch, and her cousin was there visiting, and her cousin started screaming, and Mary ran in there, Spirit's room, and she was hanging in her closet.
Wow. Mercy.
They took my baby's joy from her. They took Spirit's joy from her, and with no joy, she didn't want to be here anymore. And in her 14-year-old mind, the only thing she could think of to stop her pain and to put her in a better space was to get out of here. I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad at her. I'm just, she initially had died, and paramedics came and revived her,
Mm.
and she went to the hospital, and she's been there for now over 2 weeks. I don't know, 16, 17 days.
Yeah.
And she's in the ICU. She's on life support. All her organs are working. She's on a breathing machine.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest part, as we have a lot of people praying across the nation.
Yeah.
The prayers are so comforting to know that it's taking place, The hardest part, though, is that every day these doctors come in and try to talk us out of having hope. Every day. Every day. They try to talk us out of having hope every day. And, that's the hardest part. And she's there's no hope for her. And one doctor literally said these words to me. She said, and I know that you have hopes that she's gonna wake up, but she's not. This just happened the other day. So I had to say to them, do you want me to file a restraining order against you to keep you from coming in here and saying this to me? It was within our rights to wait. And they started telling us to give up on like day 3.
Mm-hmm.
And they had did an MRI. They haven't done one since, so they don't know what's going on in her brain, if swelling went down or any of that. And I mean, I'm not really trying to be anxious to get them to do that either, because of all the radiation of an MRI. But in my mind, in Mary's mind, spirit is being comforted and nurtured, and her soul is being repaired for her to come back and tell her story and touch lives. And in the interim time, I'm raising awareness, and her mom is. I'm really proud of her, because I've been a public personality my whole life. She's a very super private, introverted person that she doesn't get on cameras and stuff. And we were raising awareness about not just Spirit's story, but about what children like Spirit are dealing with, about how they suffer in silence. And the parents, we're busy trying to provide for them, and we don't know everything about them like we think we do.
Yeah.
And we just don't. We don't.
I want to take up. Thank you so much for being so transparent and coming on here and being vulnerable with us and letting us hear your heart and share Spirit's story. We want to take just a brief break and just share a PSA about cyberbullying. We'll share one a little bit later. Just give you a moment to gather yourself and Miss Jazzy, and we will be right back, guys. If you have not yet, please share this broadcast. This is important as the school year is starting right now, all over the country, all over the world. Actually, it's very important that we are talking to our children, that we're checking in with our children, that we're asking them, how do you feel? That we are making sure we are that safe space for them to talk to. And listen, sometimes you're doing all of that and you still don't catch it. And I just want you to know that there is no guilt. There is no weight on you. as a father, as a mother, her mother Mary, just to release any heaviness that the adversary might try to place on you with the burden of this, that we would pray that would be released from your heart and your shoulders. But we're gonna play just a quick PSA, and we will be right back. In the meantime, if you have not yet, share this broadcast. Everyone needs to see this and hear this as the school year starts again.
Cyberbullying is the worst. It's like a relentless stream of negativity. Plus, it's online and out there forever. What can I do if I'm cyberbullied, or if I see it happening to a friend?
If you have to, close down your account for a bit to let it pass. Don't retaliate, join in, or respond to cyberbullying. If your friend is being cyberbullied, talk to them about it. You can also add in some positive comments about your friend. Tell their parents so they can handle it too. If it's real bad, take screenshots and save them. Report it to the social media platform and tell your parents what's happening.
My God. So for those of you that are watching, I mean, I'm trying not to let my emotions get like the best of me, but I mean, this is real. This is real life. This is real situations. You know, as a mother, I can't even begin to imagine a thing. And I know there's many people that deal with this each and every day. Many of you that could be watching right now, you maybe could bear witness to say whether you were bullied, your child was bullied, and we know that more than ever, that this is happening each and every day. And so the opportunity that we're presenting today is that we need to talk about this. We need to deal with this. We need to really find out what's going on in the heads and the minds of our children. And Mr. Dickerson, you mentioned something from a previous interview, that you had a question that, you know, in hindsight of everything that's happened, that you started asking your friends to ask their children's question. I want you to expound on that, because, you know, you found out there was a couple of your friends that their children were also dealing with this type of activity and behavior as well.
Yes, ma'am. So the question is, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, when it comes to living, where do you fall in there when it comes to wanting to live or wanting to die? Do you want to live? On a scale of 1 to 10, ask your children that. And I have friends that's asking their children that, and it's working. And because 3 of my friends found out that their children not only have thought about it, several of them found out their children have thought about it. 3 of them found out that they've attempted suicide, and it's devastated them, you know, that they didn't have a clue, not even a clue, and that their children were contemplating suicide. One of them found out her daughter had been a cutter, and she revealed to her cuts all up her arm, both her arms. She had cut herself multiple times because she just didn't. Her self-love was so, you know, her self-worth just was so low, and she had no idea. You know, so I encourage everyone, ask your children, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, where do you fall in there when it comes to wanting to live, to still be here, to continue with life? And your answer, you can't get in trouble for it. And just tell them I'm asking you because I care. And just tell them, and be honest, be transparent. I say this a lot, that transparency gives birth to transformation. You tell your children that I have really bad days sometimes, and I don't, you know, and I have to find ways to help myself to make it through sometimes, because I get depressed sometimes, and I just wanted to talk to you and see how you feel. Let's talk about how we feel. And it works. children, they open up and they start talking. Teenagers, and they're very secretive. You don't know them. You don't. I remember when I was a teenager. I mean, my mama, she didn't know me like she thought she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't know. She was utterly surprised when she found out some stuff I was doing, and you know, she was a baseball chase you down the street mama. So
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, if you are the parent of a bullying child, if you got a kid that likes to joan on people, or play the dozens, or cap, whatever terminology people use for that now, and they're really good at it, and like to make other people laugh at other people's pain. Get them to realize that sometimes those things have long-term, long-lasting ramifications on people. Here's, for a point of transparency, I'll tell you something that happened in my life, especially because of the way it ended. When I was in the 7th grade, a girl had come on her period for the first time, as girls do at that age. And I was the one.
No. Hopefully we get him back here in just a second. As we wait for him to come back in, just real quick, I am still struggling with the news that he has given us. I know many of you are on here and struggling with that news, and just want to encourage you again to be speaking with your parents as we wait for his signal to come back through. Are you back?
Yeah, it was a bad internet or something.
It's okay. You were sharing with us about something that happened in 7th grade with a young lady that started her period.
Oh yeah, so she started her period, and I was the one that saw it. I saw the blood on her pants, and I made fun of her. I pointed it out to the other kids, and it wasn't even seconds for me to realize that how bad I had hurt her feelings. I saw it all over her, and then she looked so hurt. But at that age, I didn't know what to do, what to say to try to start fixing that. So it just plagued my subconscious. It just played over and over in my mind through the years and into adulthood. And by the time I was about 25, 26 years old, I was a very itinerant speaker. I was traveling around in church circles. I was doing revivals at that time. I was up to about 15 to 20 revivals a year across the country. I was at a really big church, probably about 800 people there, and she was sitting in the audience. And I remember her name and everything, of course. And I got on the mic, and the first thing that came out of my mouth when I got to that microphone was I called her name out, and I told her, "I'm sorry for what I did to you in the 7th grade.
Wow. I
know I hurt you, and I know that you haven't forgotten about it, because I haven't." And she started crying, and she literally stood up and spoke out and told me in front of everybody that it had definitely caused her a lot of trauma in her life, and difficulty with trusting men with secrets and things like that, and that we communicated further after that day. And that moment of redemption helped her, and it literally changed the course of her life after that. But I was very fortunate, and so was she, that we had that moment of redemption. What if I would have had a camera in my hand in that classroom, right, and recorded that, put some music on it, or just even taken a picture of it and made a meme out of it and wrote something over it? People would would have taken that and it would have been all over the internet. It would have never disappeared. And you know, that's happening to people. Yesterday I was online and a friend of mine posted a picture of a little girl, a little black girl. She had on a school uniform, and she was standing with her hand on the hip, looking a little sassy. Had her natural hair up into a bun. It was kind of frazzled. It looked like it was the end of the day, not the beginning of it, because her hair was a little messy. Mm-hmm. And she was standing outside of her house, just taking a picture. And you could tell on the picture she thought she was cute. But the caption on the photo that a grown ass man posted, it said, "You could tell she's gonna get suspended today." That's what it said. And yes, and I can't lie and say that I haven't laughed at something like that before on social media. And I'm really sorry that it took my daughter getting hurt really bad from cyberbullying for me to open my eyes and see that it's just not cool, man, to post videos and pictures of children and make fun of them online. And adults are doing this. In fact, how we saw Spirit's video of her getting beat on was because the mother of the attacker posted the video, and her caption said, "Them hands running our family." So grown people are perpetuating this and keeping this going. And if you have shared any videos of kids fighting or being humiliated or any pictures like that, you have been the unwitting participant in a cyberbullying campaign.
Yeah.
And we must speak this truth now to ourselves, as our number one goal must be to respect the humanity of our children.
That's big. Respect the humanity of our children. One of our viewers, who I believe her name is Michelle Alston, posted that she was bullied by her mother and attempted suicide. There's so many things that our young people are going through. There's so much that we have to look out for, because normally there's the bullying side and there's a bullier side, and there's something going on that shouldn't be going on both sides of those things. One of the things that the stopbullying.gov organization has on their website, they have a lot of great tools and resources on their website. So if you have time and you need assistance with some resources for your youth, for your student, for your young adults in your life, visit the stopbullying.gov. But they give a few signs of child abuse, and not every child shows signs, but there are some signs to be looking for. Some of those signs are unexplainable injuries, lost or destroyed clothing, books, electronics, or jewelry, frequent headaches or stomach aches, feeling sick, or faking illness. I'm pretty sure Beautiful Spirit probably tried to get out of school some kind of ways with some of these things. Yes. Yeah, changes in eating habits like skipping meals or binge eating. Kids may come home from school very hungry because they did not eat lunch. Maybe they didn't go. Maybe they're being intimidated in the lunchroom, or somebody took their lunch, or whatever the case. Difficulty sleeping or frequent nightmares, declining grades, loss of interest in schoolwork, and not wanting to go to school. We just heard Mr. Dickerson give us some of these things that his own daughter was going through. Excuse me. Sudden loss of friends, avoidance of social situations. Mr. Dickerson said his daughter did not want to go to the 8th grade commemoration. She just didn't want to go. It was nothing to celebrate. Feeling helpless, decreased self-esteem, self-destructive behavior, harming themselves, running away from home, talking about suicide. Now, it's important that we don't just only focus on the victim that's getting bullied, but also the child that is bullying. I'm so glad that you were transparent and shared a moment in your life where there was a judgment failure on your part. And you know what? Kids do things, but here's the thing. They have to learn. We have to teach them. We have to show them. We have to let them know it's not all right to keep, like you said, the dozens and that on the child that doesn't have the fancy shoes. Or I was that child. We did not. I have not ever. I am 41. I have not ever in my life owned a pair of Jordans. To this day, I'm 41. If I go out and buy one, that'll be when I first have one. I never got a pair growing up. Okay, we didn't get name brand. We didn't have name brand. We couldn't afford it. Our new stuff came from Goodwill and from Kmart and Walmart. Okay, and so we really have to teach and train our children up to understand, first, to build up their self-esteem and their confidence so they don't even feel the need to demean or degrade somebody else to lift themselves up. They don't feel the need. And we have to show them so much love that that's what they give out to others. Okay.
Absolutely.
But here's some signs, excuse me. Here's some signs that your child might be bullying others. And this is the thing. I want to encourage the parents not to be in denial about your child, because there's somebody else's child on the other side of that behavior. Okay. Okay. So here's some signs that your child might be bullying others. They get into a lot of physical or verbal fights, very confrontational. They have friends who bully others. They are increasingly aggressive. They get sent to the principal's office or detention frequently. They have unexplained extra money or new belongings. Have you been checking your backpack? Excuse me, y'all. Have you been checking your children's backpack? Have they been coming in the door with stuff that you didn't buy and they don't have a job, so they didn't buy? How did they get it? How did they get that new phone? How did they get this? How did they get money to buy this or that if you didn't give it to them? We need to be asking those questions. Do they have a habit of blaming others for their problems? Do they have a problem accepting responsibility for their actions? Are they very competitive, hyper competitive, and worry a lot about their reputation or popularity? Listen, it is so important that we be vigilant on both sides of the matter. Both sides matter. Just the other day, I want to share this real quick, and then Stephanie, Miss Jazzy, you jump in. My kids were sitting at the table, and a lot of this stuff, we need to be honest, starts at home. Michelle Austin, she shared that her mother was bullying her. And yes, it's possible for parents to bully their children. There's a lot of parents out here that are dealing with broken, they are toxic. They need therapy. They need counseling. In some cases, they need medication. And sometimes what those children are doing at school is a reflection of what's being done to them at home. And they're feeling helpless at home. And then they come to school and they make some other child feel helpless. Okay. My daughter had just got her hair done the other day. And my son, Izzy, asked her some kind of question. She just said, she responded to some kind of flippant thing about his head. And he said, and I was working, so I was only halfway listening. You know how we're just they're talking in the background, there's background noise. But he said something that caught my attention. He said, why every time I say something to you today, you always say something about my hair or something? And that caught my ear. I'm talking as a parent now about us being attentive to our children. Okay. And I said, what do you mean, Israel? He's like, every time I said something to her today, she said something about my hair. You know, he's due for a haircut. He's not looking rough, but he's due for, he's due for a shape up or whatever. And I said, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? And he said, I said this earlier and she said something about my hair. I just said something now. She said something about my hair. I said, Olivia, why did you say this to your brother? What are you saying to him? She's like, I don't know. I was like, what reason did you respond like that to his question to say something about his hair? Why? Where'd that come from? I don't know. I said, well, if you don't know why you said it, then you shouldn't say it. And why are you talking about his hair? And I'm a Black mother. So I said, you just got your hair 2 days ago, done 2 days ago. What are you talking about his hair for? And I went in on her a little bit and I said, don't tease your brother. Don't tease your brother. That's not kind. Don't do that. And you just got your hair done 2 days ago. What if you was at school and someone was talking about your head at school? Would you like that? And she was like, no. I said, okay. So don't think you got so cute that now you need to say something to your brother. We have to check our children when we see behaviors in them that are not healthy, that are not kind, that are not respectful to their siblings. Okay. Because what we allow our children to do to their siblings, they think it's okay to also go to school and do that. So this is a full circle thing that we need to deal with. We need to acknowledge our children's feelings and give them a safe space. One thing you said, Mr. Dickerson, that is important is you said, ask your child this and tell them they're not going to get into trouble for anything they say. Why do we even feel like we need to say that? Because we do. Because especially in Black households, you can really get in trouble for having an opinion. You could really get in trouble for having your own identity. You could really get in trouble for telling your parents exactly how you feel, whether you said it respectfully or disrespectfully, because we have a issue and a generational curse and a culture that needs to be broken that says our children having an opinion, having an identity, or have something to say equals disrespect. No, it doesn't. They're a whole entire human being and an individual with their own thoughts and feelings and personality. Them having an opinion and a voice does not equal disrespect. Now, you can train them up to say what they have to say respectfully, but they need to have the room and the space and the peace and the safety to be able to say it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Would be somewhere cutting themselves and I don't know what's going on.
Well, listen, for those of you that are chiming in, we are shining the light. This is yours truly, Miss Jazzy, along the Prosperity Doula, and we have our featured guest, Mr. James Dickerson, who's been sharing a part of his life journey of testimony of what's happened through bullying as well as cyberbullying. And we are here to continue to educate, bring awareness, to be able to talk about and have dialogue as it relates to the effects of what this is doing. And this, unfortunately, has landed Mr. Dickerson's daughter's spirit. And many of us have been sharing and listening to prayers from many of you from all over the world. So thank you for your prayers. You know, we embrace Spirit as our own, as our daughter, as our niece, as our goddaughter, you know, so we are loving on her as our own. And for myself as a parent, what I realized is that this is happening not only to children, but to adults as well. And my thoughts immediately is that I didn't think about the overcoming of emotions of just talking about this. Because again, even at my age, I say I'm 50 minus 2.5, I can remember back when I was bullied. So these are things that if somebody have ever been bullied, they can recollect what actually happened. So this is life trauma, long-term things that will affect you forever, until you can really just deal with it and forgive and be able to move on. So Mr. Dickerson, I'm going to give it back to you because there are people that are watching. There are people that are listening. Like, this is kind of real men. Like, you know, I'm trying to think, who did I bully back in the day? Like, can I ask for forgiveness if I said or did anything to someone that made them feel less than? I'm sorry for real. Because we don't really understand that, you know, we say sticks and stones may break our bones, but words do hurt. Our actions do hurt and cause traumatic experience that could last a lifetime. And the fact that Spirit is right now fighting for her life. What are the words for people that are listening? What can we do in support? What would be your final words as we're preparing to pull out of this segment of what we're doing to bring awareness to bullying as well as cyberbullying?
Yeah, just that, just to reiterate that, talking to our children is everything. And having those conversations that give them vent to share their opinion, because the thing that's upsetting them or that makes them sad probably is you, and the way that you communicate with them, or the way you dismiss them, or the number of men you've had in the house, or a lot of things could have happened that just be prepared for it. Whatever they say to come out, it may trigger some really bad feelings in you, and be ready to control that, because it's not about you right now. You have to say that going in. It's not about me right now. It's about my baby. It's not about me right now. It's about my baby. You have to do that, because I don't have to tell you, there's people here watching who knows full well that your child can hurt your feelings real bad and disrupt your entire ego, destroy it. Yeah. The one place in the world we feel like we have the most control is in our houses. So, you find things out and it could hurt your feelings real bad. Prep yourself for it as best as you can. and then go on into the deep conversations. Because remember, we're talking about somebody who wants to kill themselves, then, it's very deep, the things that they're dealing with. And I'm not the disclaimer is I'm not a counselor. However, I'm counsel worthy, because I've been a daddy my whole life, just about, and for 30 some odd years, and I've raised 10 kids. So, and I got a little baby right now, and you never get to be an expert at it, though. You just never get. Maybe I know people who have grandchildren that that may be a little bit better at it. But
definitely lifelong.
Yes, it's lifelong, and because we're living in new eras, people say stuff like they'll quote a scripture that says nothing new under the sun. Okay, so it might not be maybe a lot of new stuff that we can talk about in principle, but it's a whole lot of new stuff going on in terms of we live in a whole different culture. The culture's new. You're not experienced this culture before. The culture of social media. You didn't grow up in it. You got to think about what it's like to grow up in it, to live in a world where you don't know what life is like without Facebook and IG, and there's even little kids now that when they got here, TikTok was already here, so they don't have a clue of what life is like without this stuff. And because of that, we don't, as parents, we're not cultivating not just a conversation about deep stuff, but just conversations, period. Let's return back to a simpler life where nobody has phones, nobody has a tablet on their lap. We're eating dinner and everybody's looking at their phones. I'm noticing that now.
Mm-hmm.
People, if I go to a restaurant and I'll look at a table and I'll see a family and everybody is on their phone.
Everybody.
The daddy, the mama, the kids, everybody, the grandmama, everybody got their face and their phone and their thumb doing this. So they on social media. They just scrolling up, looking at stuff. They got an earpiece in. They can't hear each other. When my kids get in the car with me, I tell them, all right, turn off that earpiece. Let's talk. So anyway, I can go on and on talking about this because it's an endless subject matter. Right now, Spirit is in the hospital. And all I want right now, more than anything, is for my baby to walk back out of there. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff in my life right now. There's nefarious people, messing with me in business right now. And I got to rise up and fight them, because they don't respect the humanity of my daughter. I'm asking you to respect the humanity of your children and think about my family. Pray for us. Pray for Spirit. I pray that you never, ever, ever taste this pain. Mm. You never, ever, ever taste this pain. And thank you to all the people that's been praying. I'm not a religious guy anymore, so I'm grateful that I have friends that are Ifa priests, Yoruba priests or what have you. They've been doing sacrifices for Spirit. My Muslim friends do Juma prayer at noon for Spirit. I have Buddhist friends who are chanting for Spirit, doing zikrs for her. I have tons and tons of people from different backgrounds and different religions are talking to the God of their understanding. People are bombarding the ancestral realm and asking the ancestors, hey, encourage her to come back and let her know that, the world is not the same as it was when you try to check out of here. So pray for her, you guys, because my baby is not more important than yours. And in fact, you said it best, December. She is your baby. And, you know, her story will be so much better told by her than it will be by me. Either way, I'm going to tell her story. And we're going to keep raising awareness. That's it. That's all.
We're going to take a quick break and do another PSA. When we come back, we're going to ask you just to talk one moment about possibly advocating to create a law called Spirit's Law. And then we're going to wrap up and just again, thank you for being vulnerable and taking time to speak with us and parents and all the parents, teachers, guidance counselors, mentors that may see this video. We'll be right back.
Of course, people won't bully in front of the teachers, but in the hallway or on the bus, no adult is really watching. What can we do when no adult is around?
Buddy up, walk, or sit together. This can help stand up to bullying.
If you can, walk away. Play it smart and avoid situations where bullying might happen.
You can stand up for yourself without retaliating, being aggressive, or teasing back. Just act confident and keep going.
If bullying happens, report it to the school and tell parents too so they can report it. Bullying needs to be taken care of.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So again, for those of you that have been tuned in with us for this hour, this has been real raw and just transparent. I mean, this is something that has taken me back. You know, I've been very emotional throughout this time. I've not been able to speak at times because, again, this is something that's, I feel, have hit the front door of our homes when it's someone that you personally know. And all of us have been affected, whether we know someone or whether this has actually touched your household. And I personally, Miss Jazzy, I am believing for a supernatural breakthrough concerning Spirit, that, you know, God will continue to prove himself faithful, that it will be through her testimony that our faith can be increased, right? So when it comes to bullying, when it comes to cyberbullying, it's real. It happens each and every day. It's happening more and more. And so the fact that we are now beginning to talk more about it, you know, I know my conversation is going to be different with my daughter again today when I pick her up from school. So Mr. Dickerson, I do thank you for, you know, the strength of what you're showing through this time to be able to share and to have a voice, to bring these type of conversations into our households, that we are talking with our children and even within ourselves as adults, and maybe the role that we would have played as it relates to bullying or cyberbullying. Because again, there's no really laws per se. I even took an opportunity to call our local sheriff office before going live to find out what's in place for us. Nothing really for bullying or cyberbullying other than harassment. And that's when it's been done multiple times over and over again. Like, it's really going to take for someone to have to endure something over and over and over again before something's ever done. So I know you have mentioned maybe trying to get with legislative as well about Spirit's Law. So let's talk about that, and maybe what can we do to rally behind and support you with that cause?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, I'm very fortunate to be experienced at grassroots organizing. So we will form a coalition of individuals who will help us to begin the process of rallying together support and to place pressure on lawmakers and begin to bombard Washington, D.C. on the federal level to bring about a change in the way that we treat these cases of bullying. You know, and there's several pieces to it, the puzzle that needs to change, several pieces. You know, it's going to be very disruptive to a lot of people, I know, but we have to do that. And, you know, my granny, I was fortunate to be on the deathbed of my granny, you know, when she was ready to cross over, as well as my dad, and spending those last hours with my grandmother, you know, or those last days, a few days before going, she said to me, she said, you know, she called me by my middle name. She said, Arnell, You know, I remember a time when everywhere you turned, it was some strong black woman, a black man standing tall and proud and talking good to the people and representing us the best they could. And she said, and then she dropped her head and she looked sad for a moment. And she said, I lived long enough to see that time coming. It's hard to find people like that now. And I said, yes, ma'am. And then suddenly she looked up at me and she smiled and she said, but that time is coming back and you're going to be one of them. And little did I know that it would be this. So, you know, my beautiful granny, Mother Lena Hayes, may she rest in eternal peace. You know, I hope that she smiles upon me as I take up this task, that as we fight for Spirit's life and prepare Spirit a platform for her to stand on when she comes back out of the hospital, and she could stand side by side with us and tell her story and celebrate Spirit's law as we protect our children from people who are bullying each other with impunity. With impunity. This is the problem. The problem is that it's happening with impunity. So a lot of people involved in this, the social media companies, the schools, you know, obviously the parents, because again, it was a parent that shared the video of Spirit being beat on and celebrated what her child was doing. Her ass needs to be arrested, you know, and that principal, it needs to be, fired. So now I can't talk any further about the legal parts of what we're doing right now on our personal level, but I'm telling you guys to be on the lookout as we form a coalition. And you can reach out to me if you want to be a part of that. And I mean, right now I'm looking for people on the leadership levels, and we'll start the process.
Absolutely. Well, count me in. You know, whatever we can do on our end here in South Carolina, we definitely will sound the alarm, get on the horn. Prosperity Doula, your final thoughts?
One, I just want to say thank you, Mr. Dickerson, for coming on with us this morning, for taking time out of your morning to share with us this heartbreaking story. We are standing with you, believing with you, praying for you, sending positive vibes, energy, and everything we can on the frequency of faith to Spirit. Praying for you and her, a mother. Just thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for speaking to the parents. And our heart and our spirit is with you and your daughter. And just for anybody that's watching, take bullying seriously. Yeah. Take constant teasing and berating seriously. If your children are doing it to their siblings, take that seriously. You got people that's not getting bullied at school, but that's getting bullied at home by their own brothers and sisters. And you might be saying, oh, they're just playing. No, because playing doesn't hurt. Playing doesn't hurt. I tell my kids all the time, they'll get into a hitting match and I'll tell them, I say, I don't let my kids play fight. I know a lot of people do, and I'm not coming down on any other parents, but I don't, because when I was raised up, you couldn't tell always who was playing and who wasn't. When they hit you so hard, you wanted to cry. And so I always tell my kids, hitting is not a game. And listen, bullying is not a game. Letting someone call you out of your name, letting your kids call each other out of their names. As the darkest of my mother's children, I got it coming up. I got it at home and I got it at school. And you have a beautiful brown skin, brown flower daughter. And I know she catches hell going and coming, because I know I did, especially in the earth that is putting out standards on social media that the lighter you are, the brighter you are, the better you are. The straighter your hair is, the good hair. And, you got that 4C hair. And I got that. I got, how dare you give me a name for my hair that a Asian company gave for something plastic that they made to imitate what God gave me. I don't have 4C hair. I have the hair that the Lord gave me. Okay. And so We have to train and we have to educate our children, our sons and our daughters up to know that they are beautiful just the way that God made them, and build their confidence up, have that respect level dialed all the way up so that they have so much respect for themselves that they dare not disrespect someone else. And treating our children as human beings, giving them space to exist in their own humanity, to be safe to share and to talk with you. Does your child even feel safe coming to talk to you about how they feel? Or have you dismissed them so often? And listen, I'm not coming against anyone. Okay, this is a moment of truth. This is a come to Jesus moment, like they say. This is a time where we just need to be really honest with ourselves. Have you dismissed them and they're feeling so often that they don't even feel like they could tell you that they thought about killing themselves today? Because you're going to dismiss them. You ain't got no bills. What's your struggle? You ain't tired, depressed. Let me go in there and depress some dishes. I'm talking, you know how we do. You know how we do with our kids. Do they feel safe to even talk to you? Are you a safe place for your children? And if you know that you're not, you can make a decision to change that right now, today. So they are not on the giving nor the receiving end of bullying. This is a moment of truth, guys. We love you. We're always going to bring you some news you can use. We're being very serious today because this is a serious matter. And we need to have these conversations. I'm going to sit down and have a conversation with my son and my daughter tonight. I want to encourage you. I'm going to take the challenge that Mr. Dickerson put out tonight and sit down. No phones, nowhere, not mine, not theirs. Because here's the thing we do sometimes too, parents. I'm guilty of this. I'll tell my kids to put their phones away, but I won't put mine away because I'm handling business. And what I'm doing is important. But y'all put y'all phones away. No. So everybody's putting it down. Everybody's closing it up. Everybody's turning it off. And we're going to have a chat. And I'm going to take Mr. Dickerson up on this challenge. And I want to challenge you to take him up on it as well. And have that chat with your children and say, this is a safe space. Say what you need to say concerning me and anyone and anything else. Be respectful, but say what you need to say. And you're not going to get in trouble for it. They need to know they can talk to you. They need to know they can talk to you. And so that's all that I have to say. As a parent, I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm going to do better. We can always do better. Absolutely. We can always do better.
Well, I'm going to end it with this, and I'm going to say that there are legal consequences as it relates to bullying, in addition to criminal charges, school suspensions, expulsions. Like, you can actually be sued for bullying and harassment if you are sued in a court of law under a civil action, and money damages paid by you or your parents to the person that has been harassed and bullied, and have been awarded those that can arrange for the damage of their reputation, damage to whatever you call emotional stress. So just know there are damages that can be caused that can run into the millions. So again, Mr. Dickerson, thank you. Thank you to everyone that have viewed this, shared this, been praying. Can y'all show some love in the chat? So as Mr. Dickerson goes back and shares some time with his daughter Spirit, he'll know that those of you that are rolling with Miss Jazzy and the Prosperity Doula today is sending love and positive vibes their way. So until next time, as we continue to pray one for another, have the conversation today with your children, your nieces, your godchildren, your foster kids. Have the conversation, because often than not, it's happening, and it may be happening in your home, and the kid could be suffering in silence and alone. We love you guys. We're going to be praying for each and every one of you. We love you.
Have a great day. Have a great day, Mr. Dickerson. And thank you again. God bless you.